Today, we are going to spotlight Meenakshi. Meenakshi, fondly known as Minu, is a sprightly 14-year-old with an eye for detail and a keen fascination for colors, patterns, and textures. With an innate sense for quality and order, her curious, deft hands enjoy learning new skills and exploring different materials and forms. She is the inspiration behind Willet work, a design and handwork initiative started by her mother, Remya Hariharan, who's a NID Ahmedabad graduate. Minu helps create beautiful products such as embroidered journals, jewellery, murals, and season-sensitive festive merchandise that has been appreciated by her clientele, which includes corporates, families, and individuals. And I'm very delighted to have with me Remya, Minu's mother, and the brain behind Willet work. Welcome to Not That Different, Remya. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Shweta. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Without much ado, tell us something about more about Minu, more specifically about how, as a parent, you figured out that this is where Minu's interest lies, that Minu can do an amazing job of embroidery. Minu can make amazing murals. Basically, Minu can, use her hands to create all these lovely things. It's something that'll be of great interest to all our viewers, considering all of these are, very sensorial activities, and autistics, as you know, have a lot of sensory differences. So if you could tell us how you figured out this is what's going to work for Minu.
Yeah, so actually it was very incidental. As a young child, she used to do a lot of things with colors and shapes and everything. It was something that fascinated her. And I used to also do it with her more like a hobby, and in between the sessions, in between the school classes, it was just more like something that we could bond together. And also it was something that fulfilled a lot of goals for us, like fine motor, midline crossing. I would just make it interesting with colors and shapes and textures so that she would be very occupied. So as a child, she used to really enjoy these things. But somewhere I think I even have a picture of hers which she has simply dabbled with colors, and I have framed it. And it was so beautiful for me, the way she had organically gone about it. But it was something which happened just on the go. And then somehow, as we got busy with classes and therapy and academics and everything, and somehow we had kind of distanced ourselves from, both of us had kind of distanced ourselves. How it all came back was during COVID, when we were all completely homebound and had a very, very hectic routine, both physically and mentally. The lot of stress which was building, especially the first wave. And the whole day we would be busy with so many things, keeping the house in order, doing things, keeping each other engaged. So towards the end of the day, I really needed to vent out, like I needed something to, like a breathe out for myself. And what I would do is just take out all the paints and start painting a balcony wall or something like that. It was just something that kept me grounded. And the beauty was, what I really found it amazing was Minu, a child who was actually a very, what do you say, gadget savvy kid. She would silently sit and watch me do it. She would neither come to interfere in the process or want her hands to be in the whatever I was doing. She would silently watch me doing it, probably because she found me very grounded when I was doing it. And it was like a very beautiful space for the first time, because probably with all the busy schedule, I had never done this. So when we got this opportunity to do something like this, I observed that she was very keenly watching what I was doing. And every day we would both look forward in our own ways to go to the next level. And there was a sense of completion that was happening in whatever I was doing. I was making something on the balcony wall or anywhere for that matter. So it was very interesting for me to see her quiet focus, which I had not seen in this particular area at all. So she is a very gadget savvy child, and she's extremely inclined towards music. But somehow art and using the hand was something that I had not really pictured with her. So then what happened was, again, because COVID gave us a luxury of time and space and mind space, I said, let's make gifts for all our relatives, because we won't be meeting them this season. But let's make gifts and send it to all of them. They'll all be very happy. And suddenly I saw a very different level of participation from her. And that's when I realized that sense of purpose, of doing something for something of value is so key. Rather than simply saying, come, let's do some coloring just like that as a task, versus doing it for something which was purposeful. And especially she had turned 12, and I saw that her consciousness also had changed, that she really wanted to do something that is of value. And that's when we started actually buying things online and started doing a lot of gifts for. So the entire 1 year, I think we have only made gifts for each and every person we wanted to, whether they wanted the gift or not, we would go and
No,
give
I
it to
think those
them.
are
And
very
we,
beautiful gifts because I remember Aditi also got a few of those gifts and they're really
yes,
beautiful.
yes. So sitting down and doing something with a clear purpose was very, very important and essential, as important as it is for all of us. And that's when we discovered that, and also the thing is, whenever we both would sit and start doing anything with our hands, the house would become very quiet. Both of us would be so engrossed. There would be no self-talk. There would be no demands, no assessments, no question and answers there. But everybody, we are just involved completely with our own hands and with our own minds. And it was a very beautiful space. In fact, it was something that we really looked forward to after a point of time. And I think COVID that way was a big, what do you say, a big reason for
Eye-opener.
that.
For many of us, it was an
Yeah,
eye-opener, truly.
that slowing down that happened across dimensions really helped us to see this aspect, which we wouldn't have had we been busy with this class and that class and this school and that school for sure. So that's how it actually started.
Hmm. So, I mean, it's very interesting, Ramya, this is the conversation that we were having the other day as well, right? Doing work with your hands is something so grounding. It is something so sensorial and so beautiful, right? Even for us neurotypicals, forget neurodivergent children, right? But somehow it's never considered as something of value. It is never considered as something, that is important. But very contra-intuitively, when our children go to all of these therapy sessions, they are made to string beads, they are made to color within, and there's that certain point where they don't want to do it. Probably don't want to do it because they don't see any meaning in it. They probably don't want to do it because they don't see any purpose in it. But
Right.
the activity in itself is so calming and so soothing that if you can attach a sense of purpose to it, that especially our children growing into adolescence and young adults, if they can see meaning in what they are doing, I think the same thing can transform into something of value. And I know with Will at Work, it's transformed into something of huge value, and it's also transformed into a small community. We'll get to that.
Right.
But
Sure.
before that, I just wanted to touch base with you about the different kind of activities that Minu does, right? She does embroidery, she paints murals, she makes jewelry. Now, for anybody who is aware about autism, knows that autistics have a lot of sensory differences. And because of these sensory differences, they're also predisposed to some level of delays in their fine motor skills, right? And these are all activities that involve an extensive level of focus in order to be able to do it really well. How did doing all of this benefit Minu, right? Like, I know Minu is a perfectionist. She wants her work to be perfect. But when we are talking of such beautiful artistic things, if you want the work to be perfect, then it does require, that level of hyper focus and that level of doing. So just wanted to get an understanding of sensorially, how's this experience? And there are three very different activities, right? So sensorially, how is
True.
this?
So, yeah, so actually what was beautiful was I never went by a template which was okay for me. Because my idea of art and craft and beauty and design is completely different. It is also something led by the intellect, also by my heart, but a lot led by my intellect. So I actually did not go by any of those things. The most beautiful part was when a child is engaged with different material, there is a connection that happens automatically. Like, for example, I always knew that she was very fascinated with colors and beads. So she has a table full of beads and marbles and pebbles, and it's very visually stimulating and satisfying kind of a collection that she has. So what I did is I only converted all her fascinations into my first set of products. I never went by trying to teach her something which is the most important thing to learn or something like that. I only went through with her interests. And that is how that name Will at Work emerged. It is only when the child is in their complete will of doing something, and which is beautiful actually, because the neurodivergent mind is actually very rich. And the way it sees and connects things is not something that we are able to do because we are limited by our intellectual way of looking at things. So when we experience things with our senses, it is very pure. The way we approach music, the way we approach colors. So the way she would play and sort beads, and I would suddenly see that high level of focus coming in without my asking for it.
Yes.
Whereas for a class, if I want her to sit and do it, it's a
Exactly.
huge protest, huge
Yes.
tantrum, and then I'm trying to assess her, I'm trying to correct her.
Exactly.
And the beautiful part about anything to do with hand or visual is that it is self-correcting in nature. So if she would keep something which is not matching, she herself would take it away. I didn't have to give her that instruction. So what was beautiful was it was minimum instructions would be shared between us. And she was also seeing and doing what I was doing and trying things on her own. And at some point of time, I realized that there was so much of, so much of beauty in the way she was working. I should not interfere. If I interfere, I will take away that process out of her liking.
Yeah.
And what I started doing is I started recording small videos of her working intently. And I would analyze and study those videos later just to see how she is problem solving on her own. How is she ensuring that least amount of glue is getting stuck in her own hands? How she is sorting the material, because I have a certain idea of what I want to do. But she was not doing that. She was figuring out her work on her own. And that was very, very beautiful for me. And people would ask me, oh, has she done it? That kind of a question would come,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, one reason for the videos was that.
Yes.
But more than that, the reason for the videos became for me to study her own process, her own problem solving abilities. And it was very wonderful to see. Earlier, she would squeeze a lot of glue, because she could not probably estimate the pressure or something. And she would like that thing coming out, and then it would kind of mess up the artwork. As we went on, I realized she herself realized that it is the beads are slipping, the pieces are slipping because of more glue. She automatically started reducing the amount of glue. It was all self-correction. So the quality consciousness was something that I didn't have to teach her in this. And then when I would say that we are making this for somebody, our level of commitment to that piece would change.
Yes.
So I would tell her, see, we have to give this to somebody as a gift. So we have to do it carefully. And automatically that self-accountability came for her, where she would, and even now when I see those videos, it gives me goosebumps, because after every step, she's actually looking at my face and taking an approval, which is so rare, she is not a child who would really look for any approval.
Right.
And she would do some things, and just with her eyes, we would have a small talk there. And it was really very beautiful, the process. So I really miss those initial days when we had the time for all these things. Now we have kind of got into making a lot of products. Somewhere I feel, so what I really want to reiterate is developing a product, designing it, all that is something that I do. What I really want the children to be engaged with is a process.
Yes.
And I don't want to cloud them with the need for finishing so-and-so within a deadline. That all is our headache. They should enjoy what they are doing, because the beauty lies in the process. Yes. And of course, it is all coming to a culmination. We need to find purpose for it. So even when I take orders, I tell them that please give us enough time. We can't rush the children. And we don't want them to be, obviously, when there's a deadline, my body language will change.
Yes.
My demands will change. I will get hurried in my way of dealing. And all that is going to take away the beauty of the process. And that is not something that we should ever, we try our best not to do that. And we have to be well planned so that the children enjoy the process as much as possible. And the material variety is so much. And that's what I said. I went by what she liked to do. Like, for example, just by the two skills of beading, pasting, I have made more than 30 products. I have not tried to teach a new skill just to create a new set of, because we are not competing against anybody. If you ask me, this craft industry is a very, very refined and a matured industry. We are nowhere a competition for it. But what we are creating is something that is very organically developing. And that is how painting and embroidery, even in embroidery, only now we have gone to cloth embroidery. So I have always started with paper embroidery, because paper embroidery had the advantage of having a template where I don't have to keep instructing. Yes. There is a template which can be followed very organically. So it's a very so whatever we have tried to do, we have tried to keep it as self-correcting as possible, so that there is a sense of completion, there's a sense of correction automatically happening. And at the same time, as a designer, the mind always works towards making aesthetic products which are appreciated for its beauty. Yes. Apart from who makes it or how it is done. Exactly. The end product is beautiful. And that is what I really want people to see. Yes. Beyond anything else.
No, absolutely. Just because it's made by an autistic, right? Somebody was asking me, a while ago, they picked up Aditi's book and they said, the book is priced so much. And, whatever. So I said, see, we are not in this space for charity. I mean, you're not reading this book because, you're doing the charity for an autistic person. You're reading
Exactly.
a writer who writes very well, who cannot, who writes way better than you and I can write. And,
Absolutely.
the graphics in this book, the images in this book are all
Mm.
who may be autistic, but they've done an amazing job of designing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether an autistic person is doing it or a non-autistic person is doing it. Out there in the market, people look at quality, right? It works both ways.
Totally.
So when we
People
are
may come for a cause, they may buy it for a cause once or twice. But
yes,
if you want to make it a self-sustaining, dignified engagement, productive engagement, we have to cater to the audience the way they want it.
yes,
And why should we compromise in any way? I mean, in what way? Who defines that if it is made by somebody, it should be of a poor quality? I mean,
exactly.
it irks me a lot when people say these things look too finished to be true. I said that's because of the standard that you have set in your mind.
Exactly.
The processes are well defined. The quality systems are in place. It's like anybody else would do it. And that's why I don't even call it special hands or anything. I say diverse hands engaging stories. Anybody and everybody can, we are all diverse hands. I am a diverse hand. Minu is a diverse hand. Somebody else. I have a beautiful team of friends who have become colleagues today. Each of us have brought in what we like to bring in. We are not doing anything here for charity. We are doing it because it brings us joy. And each of us is working because it is a Willet work for us. Be it children, be it us who are designing. And every time we do a workshop, we feel so elated. We feel every child who is sitting in the workshop, every parent who is participating is taking back something which is very nourishing for them. And I really don't want this venture to be seen only in the lens of, a cause. What is happening in the background is something for us to feel great about. But for the end user, uh, of course, we do get orders because there are well-wishers around us who want to help us thrive. But ultimately, when they get the piece in their hand, the product in their hand, we ensure that the quality is not compromised in any way. And that process takes months for us to put together. And in fact, we even ensure that the child signs their name at the end of every product because we want that completion for them from what they started, that they have finished it. And you will be surprised, a child like Minu, who hates to even pick the pencil and write because she has a huge aversion for writing, will write with love Minu 50 times, 100 times.
Yeah, because
that is not writing, it's a signature.
Yes.
She's actually putting a signature behind.
Yes.
And these are all very, very important eye-opening things for me. And it was very gratifying for me because she really knew why she was doing it. And that is true for every child, every person working on this, in fact, not just handwork, in anything for that matter, right?
True, very.
And it has to be seen that way. Everything can't be just therapy throughout their lives, no? It has to move to another space at some point of time.
What is the next level? Exactly. So
that was one of the main reasons why it all became more like a kind of a passion for me to ensure that it doesn't just stay with Minu alone or just few of us just doing something, but it is something. If a child like Minu who is not even inclined to it naturally, which I believed, is able to do it because it is sensorily appealing and through training, so many more children can do it.
Yes.
And honestly, you and me know, Shweta, that even though there is education and special needs, vocational training and everything, where are the jobs?
There are no jobs.
Is it proportional to the kind of training that we give our children? Is it even proportional to the kind of engagement that they have?
No, absolutely.
I don't think so. Maybe just 10% are able to do.
Yes. First of all, are we giving them meaningful skills is the question, right? I mean, how many of the special...
There are, like, vocational centers are doing it. So many people are doing a lot of training. A lot of training is happening. But where is it getting used?
Exactly.
And even if it is being used, is it only being used in spaces where it is more like very low stakes? Okay, they did it, so we did it.
Yeah.
Why? When a child is putting, when an individual is putting effort, they have to be compensated for it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. I mean,
Like how you and me would want.
Exactly. Absolutely. We're not going to work for free. So why should they? You see, it again comes back to, I think society's understanding of autism, right? When somebody comes and says that, what Aditi's written is so beautiful, or somebody comes and says that, what Minu has done is so perfect, it looks too good to be true. It is their lack of understanding of autism, because what they don't understand is what comes with autism is a huge sense of perfection for most of them, right?
Absolutely. In fact, there are children
if
who work and they make a mistake and they make a mistake and they throw that thing away. They send it, they discard it on their own.
Yes.
See, sometimes my logical thinking will say, oh, your one material is this thing, let me repair it and put it back. But no, I respect that, because that is their sense of quality, which is ingrained in them, the sense of order. So everything that we see as a fixation can be made into a fascination, can be seen as a fascination. Exactly. And see, ultimately, a thing of beauty is a joy forever, right? When you create something which is wholesome, which is beautiful, I feel there is something that is happening inside, which is completing. And that is why, and there is a, like, for example, we ask our children, do LKG, then you do 10th, and then you will do college, and then you will get a job. So you have to do schooling. It is a very far-fetched vision, which they are not able to see.
Yes.
Probably see point in it, right?
True.
So here there is something that you start and you complete, and there is a completeness to the whole thing.
Yes.
And that is how you have to bring the value of accountability and expect, even if children struggle and finish their 10th and 12th with so much of struggle, are we justifying their efforts by giving them the right opportunities at work?
Definitely.
I don't know.
As a society, we are far away from all of that, right?
And again, the demand for academics is so high. I know that Minu is a child who can do academics, but her sensory differences and her anxiety, so many things come in the way of being able to show her intelligence, so-called intelligence, in the way of exams.
Yes.
So that is in no way showing that the child is not intelligent enough, right?
Yes.
And we have to find ways in which they are able to bring out their, so actually handwork, if you see, unfortunately in India, it is not given that much of regard, but it is something that is extremely complex.
Yes.
It requires a lot of thinking. It requires a lot of problem solving, flexibility, resourcefulness. In fact, midline crossing, spatial awareness, I have a whole list of things that happens because you do this. It's just that as a society, it has to be seen with more reverence. Yes. And because I was fortunate to be a part of the Waldorf system of education, I have understood the depth of handwork, why it is done and how it impacts. Like even Maria Montessori says, the hands are the instrument of the mind. So, it's something that we were born with, right?
Yes.
It is an intelligence which we were born with. It is not something that has been given to us through education.
Exactly.
So it has to be seen. And as a designer, I think I can definitely stand testimony to it that this is important, it is valuable, and it is as important as anything else that is considered as what do you say, signature of success.
Yeah, very true. I mean, how do you define success, right? Most people don't even, think of a possibility that our children can be successful. I think it boils down to us parents to figure out what works for our child and how to make it work. But what I really love about Minu's story is the fact that what people look at as hyperfixations, what people look at as obsessions in autism, is actually something that can be taken and converted into something so beautiful and so meaningful. At the end of the day, it's meaningful for the child. It creates meaningful products, right? I mean, I think, that's beautiful. And that's why, I have a lot of regard for what Minu does, a lot of regard for what you do at Willet Work. So tell us a little about Willet Work. How did that start off? Like, I love the fact that, Minu calls herself an entrepreneur because of Willet Work.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, I mean, I just happened to tell her once that I think we are doing this kind of work and I think we are entrepreneurs. And I don't know, so quickly she picked on to that word. And next time when we met somebody, she was like, I'm an entrepreneur. I was like completely surprised at the awareness that she had about it. And it sounded very cute and all that. But then I realized that it is the thing is that as I told you, I didn't want it to be limited only to one house and one child. And it may give me a lot of satisfaction as a mother, but I knew as a professional, as a designer, and as somebody who is seeing that this is a big gap in our children's lives as they grow. I really felt it is like my responsibility to take it forward. And in fact, if you see, my identity as a designer got revived after 10 years. I had, in the last 10 years, when we were busy with therapy and this and that, that identity was completely buried, you know. In fact, sometimes I felt, why did I even do all these things, kind of a thing. But now I realize that it was not buried, it was more like a hibernation. And today when it has come out with more meaning because of Minu and our journey. And I think my role as a designer has become more chiseled because of this. Instead of going and working in some company and probably earning big bucks, I'm doing something so meaningful and so satisfying. I think it is almost it would be an envy for many people to be in this role, you know, to be able to do something so meaningful. And it is just a start. We are hoping that it can take up to get into more spaces. Yeah, and so how it translated to more people is because of the kind of colleagues and friends who came my way, and they said, "Tell us, we will support you in whatever way you want." So every time I had a small workshop to do, I would be having my friends Arunima and Renuka and Sheila. They would just leave everything and they would come to support me. And that gave me a lot of confidence that yes, people are wanting to push this forward, propel this forward without expecting anything in return, you know. And the beauty was all these people are also some very handy people. So they really enjoyed doing what they were doing. And Sheila happens to be a handwork teacher, and she was interacting with many more children. So what we started doing is whatever templates we created, I would give it to her, and she would, alongside her other things, she would do these also with those children. And she said children are able to do it. And in fact, she would simplify the process for us. And that is how we said, okay, why not we try a collaborative project? And we had a well-wisher who gave us a big order. And it was an order of 300 books, souvenirs for the company. And I said, obviously, I can't do it with Minu alone.
Exactly.
I will. Yeah, I mean, I would rather not take it up if only Minu had to be involved in this. I said, at the same time, it is unfair to let go of an opportunity by saying that I did not train more. We don't have more trained hands. So that is how it. So Sheila was able to take it forward with all these children, and we put a process in place so that children also don't get demotivated, and because there was a number to be completed. And it all beautifully. It was a 2-month project. I took the parents' approval. The parents were completely in support of the whole thing. And at the end of it, we were actually able to pay them an honorarium and give them certificates and a t-shirt with Willet work. It was a very beautiful feeling of a wholesome completion for us. And I call them our first set of interns, you know. And I really feel that they are the reason why we keep going. And it is difficult, you know, it is difficult with all the other challenges we have as mothers in our day-to-day thing. But then we have to make time for this because it's worth the while.
It's totally worth the while. I mean, what are the other things? We are putting them through the same therapies over and over again with no end in sight. We are doing academics. We know they know academics, but will they be able to go there and write an examination, prove to the world they are very good at academics, so they get their certificates. Even if you manage to push them, given their sensory differences, even if you manage to, you know,
that is what it is.
School and college, will they find meaningful employment? Will that employment be something that they enjoy doing, or will, you know,
exactly
like a huge torture to them? I mean,
and they grow in it. Can they grow in it? Will that society support them? Will that workspace support them? So at some point of time, I would want Willet work to be like a huge. So we are neither a school nor a vocational center nor a training unit. What we are is a design studio, and we want to generate as much work so that children, wherever they are, whatever condition they are in, there could be children who, because of health conditions, can't come out of their houses. So do we deprive them of opportunities? And there are, so some of these children may be going to school, some may be going for therapy, some may be at home. But with little bit of support, we want each and everyone to be able to contribute and be engaged constructively and feel good about it. At the same time, enjoy the process. So that is something that we ensure that we don't take it away from them. We take all the pressure and all the running around, but we try to keep the process as pure as possible, because our children, you can't, they will not fake it. So we will know when it is irritating them, when it is getting too much for them.
No way. I mean, if it's too much,
we will stop it. We stop it when it is difficult. But we actually, when we have deadlines, we actually tell them. So slowly to start building their resilience also. Like we say that today we have a target of, would you say 5 books or 7 books? They would say 5 books. So we will stick to 5 books. And after every book is completed, we have a token system where we put the stickers. So there is a visual completion to it. So once the 5 books are over, today's work is done. So we also want to make it professional for them so that there's a sense of accountability, and it should be there, right? Because it's something that where they're partners with us.
Absolutely.
We are not again doing it like a therapy or a class. They are actually our employees. We are working as a team. So, I mean, our children have taught us what it means to be professional. And I would want Willet Work to have its values drawn from our children,
Yes,
rather than
absolutely.
going by standard
What we believe
marketplace
should be.
values.
Yeah, exactly.
Honesty, trust, transparency, spontaneity. These are all things that these children bring, and I would really want that to be our guiding principles rather than we trying to impose our conditioned thinking onto them.
So yeah, I mean, it's amazing, you know. In fact, some of the photographs and some of the videos that you've shared with us, which we will be sharing in the right spaces in this video for our audience to see. You know, it's amazing to see the quality of work that comes in. The diaries, the murals, they are like, they're professional, you know, for the want of a better word. They're beautiful, they're perfect, you know. And this to me is like a, you know, a perfect story of how you can take what the society views as a hyperfixation, what the society views as an obsession, or what the society views as, you know, a challenge in so-called, you know, educating our children. You can actually take that and turn that into something that is super constructive and something, you know, that is a lot more meaningful for our children, as compared to, I don't know, the zillions of therapies that they attend every single day. So
True.
yeah.
See, everything has its place. Everything has its place. And like, for example, during COVID, when we did a lot of movements in the house, the visual motor coordination improved.
Yes.
It was all connected, but then it improved, and then what? That is where we have to start thinking
What
beyond
next?
it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we keep doing things for improvement, and when improvement happens, have you kept enough work, enough value for that improvement?
Yes.
And ultimately, Shweta, I would say more than anything that with all that we have spoken, the main core reason why I really want Willet Work to grow is to form a community, so that we are a community of people who are engaged purposefully with a common sense of what do you say, community and family, and we love what we do, and with that love we stick together. The need to stick together just for our future years is something else, whereas sticking together with a common
Purpose.
love for something and knowing each other beyond just being families, and having something to look forward to together, I feel is very key. Because that was another thing. Till 1920, we talk about education, and then suddenly people start talking about community homes. Between the 20 and 60, that entire span of life is completely forgotten.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and it doesn't give any of us the right to forget that phase of their life, right?
Absolutely.
We have to give that value to that thing, and we have to create what you and me would do after their education is something that each person has the right to be given.
Absolutely. And see,
And I really wish that people come together with this thinking.
Absolutely, Ramya. In fact, see, social isolation is a very real thing for our autistic children, and it's a very real thing for many autistic families as well. But then, if you know, if through this we are able to get our children to bond, get our children to find their tribe, get our children to, you know, find that sense of belonging, and we as people, right, you know, bond with other parents who have been through similar circumstances, who think similarly, and are able to bring out something constructive. I think that's like the most amazing thing, right? You take away what is like the biggest part of, I don't know, the stress or the worry of our lives. So yeah, it's
true. And then, you know, coming together, and every parent who was part of this group initiative was so happy at the end of it that like they were like, oh my God, you have actually earned money, and you have actually completed something which is so valuable. And I thought children won't be bothered about the certificates, but every time we get the certificate, the look on their face was awesome.
Yeah, it's their accomplishment. Obviously, they'll be proud, no?
Yeah, so I think we just have to, you know, I think we have to change. Only parents and all these initiatives can change the narrative, which has been a particular way for so long. And today it is changing, and we have to be flag bearers for it through all these things. At some point, I wish that Willet Work becomes a co-working space where every child, with whatever is their ability, be it academic, non-academic, whatever they can bring in, they are able to be a part of it and find a space to come together. let's, I mean, these are all wishful thinking, but I
I
feel
mean, we never know.
someday it will.
One step at a time. We're just keeping our fingers crossed and we are trying.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was lovely talking to you today. Thank you so much. And I'm sure, there's a lot that parents are going to learn from this conversation, from, from your thoughts about how do you, figure out where your child's strengths is. Thank you so much for doing this with us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Shweta. So I always say this is a hands talk and hearts meet is the tagline for Willet work. And I say it's an opportunity where their colorful inner world meets the world of opportunities outside.
True.
And let this be a bridge for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and helping me articulate my own thoughts.
No,
it's all inside, only when we talk about it, we are also getting the conviction about it.
You're the best person to talk about it. You've done so much, right? You've been the person who's been the catalyst for change. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I mean, I owe it to all our children. Thank you so much.
We all owe it to our children. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.